Hey everybody, welcome back into Flock Talk, the official podcast of the Beloit Skycarp. There are 43 days until opening day. With Josh Flickinger, Larry Larson, glad you're with us, and I'm excited. You're starting to taste it, right? You get that little taste of spring in the air, like the temperature dips up like above 45, and you're like, all right, I can picture baseball in this.
Yeah, you can really picture it because if you look at our field right now, it is not completely covered in snow. In fact, Jamison Wilcox, our groundskeeper, does such a fantastic job that our grass is an amazing shade of green right now. It's like midsummer out there. And
no
that's
spray paint involved.
No,
either.
That's just a credit to him. It looks like it's ready to be played on, and it's right around the corner, folks, so we're excited. Single-game tickets are going to be happening. They're going on sale soon. We'll have a date announced for that here shortly, and we're getting the last promotional schedule details in line, and then we'll be ready to go. But, yeah, April 7th is not far away.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Skycarp.com/tickets. You can buy season tickets now. You can see every single game.
Yes.
That's what I personally recommend. That's the Larry Larson plan.
You're going to be for all the home games, certainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every single one except like 2.
Yeah. So.
Not home games.
Yeah, no, those will be
overall.
on the road. You can miss a few road games, fans. You don't have to travel. You don't have to get on the bus.
You're biased, but
there's a couple more I think you probably should miss.
no, I'm okay actually.
Yeah.
I enjoy my job, contrary to maybe popular belief. I don't know.
Well, certain things should come ahead of the job, I think.
No, well, this is not for podcast talk. Jeez, hope the girlfriend's not watching.
I'll text her.
It's funny because the quote where it's like, you stare out the window and wait for spring during the winter.
Yeah.
As soon as the season ends, I'm not feeling that. Right now, I'm starting to feel that where it's like, I'm ready. I'm ready for baseball to be
Little
back.
spring fever. I can't wait. Opening day, we're fortunate enough to have a few of our local TV stations show up, 5 a.m. for the morning show on opening day. I'm ready to go. I say bring on that, 19-hour day because we can't wait. We can't wait to have the players here in town. And we've even got some, obviously, new players every year. That's part of the deal in minor league baseball, a whole new team just about.
Hope.
But also some new staff members, too.
Yes, and Billy Gardner Jr., new manager. That's a great segue. Great work there, Flick.
I learned from the best, Larry.
Billy Gardner Jr., a guy who's been around the block, to say the least, experienced minor league manager, and I think you were bringing this up a few weeks ago. His managerial record in the minor leagues is, I think, a little bit above 500, and he's been a minor league manager for about 20 seasons.
Yes.
That's really impressive.
It is, and he's got a few, at least one title to his credit earlier in his career. In fact, I want to say it was in this league that Billy Gardner Jr. won a title. Larry might be able to look that up for us, but he won. He did have a championship. I know he's been to the playoffs several times. And obviously the Marlins saw something in him that says, hey, this guy has been a success. He knows what he's doing. We had an inkling they were maybe, itching for a veteran manager to come in here. And they ended up with Billy. And, everything.
They passed on Flick.
Yes, I was in the finalists. I had several interviews. But I showed up to shirtless to the last one just to see, so I could fit in kind of in the locker room motif, and that immediately took me out. But yeah, I think it's going to be great.
So Billy Gardner has managed in the Midwest League twice prior, for 2 seasons with the Michigan Battle Cats.
The old Battle Cats.
And you know where they played? Battle Creek, Michigan.
Absolutely.
At C.O. Brown Stadium. Shout out to my Northwoods League folks. They'll know C.O. Brown Stadium. It's quite the place.
Yeah, bet.
There's a reason that the affiliation didn't kind of stick around.
They were Yankees, I know.
They were Yankees, and then there were Red Sox. They actually constructed...
Those are two fantastic, top-of-the-line franchises hanging out in Battle Creek.
Yeah, and then they went to the Devil Rays after that.
Okay,
so
that makes more sense.
But they built their left field corner to replicate Fenway Parks.
Okay.
So when the ball caroms down the line, the outfielders knew how to play it. I thought that was really an interesting note
that is cool.
that I found out in my travels.
Isn't Battle Creek also the home of it's a big cereal place?
Yes.
Kellogg's, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It smells like cereal.
Right.
I've been told in the mornings. I never got to experience that myself, but
That's too bad. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And then he managed Dayton for 1 year in 2006.
Okay.
So these past 2 seasons, he's been in indie ball in the Pioneer League, and hey, Pioneer League, that's high quality indie ball.
Absolutely. And the Marlins must have had some coaching staff scouts out there in the Pioneer League, because also coming from the Pioneer League, Dan Radisson, our hitting coach.
Yes, yeah, he coached with Jim Riggleman out there, longtime big league guy.
Yeah, former Cubs manager. Our fans will definitely be familiar with him.
Yeah, who knew? That's the funny thing about baseball, right? Dan Radisson is a guy who's been in the big leagues for a little bit. It's like everybody knows everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, well, certainly Riggleman and Radisson knew each other. They worked, I think, all 10 years that Riggleman, the former Cubs manager and Padres.
Reds?
And then,
Don't forget about the Reds.
Big interim guy. Was a veteran guy on the bench. But anyway, they spent all their time. Whenever Riggleman was the manager, Radisson was his hitting coach. So Radisson is going to bring a wealth of experience. And the other cool thing about Radisson is he was a minor league manager for about 10 years, too. So he's seen it from that standpoint in the Yankee system, I believe, for Trenton. Yeah.
A lot of vets on the staff. I think that's the bottom line. A lot of guys that the Beloit guys can learn from in the minor leagues, because I think high A is a level where it's super formative, right? Low A in the new structure of the minor leagues, that's kind of where you get your first taste of kind of real minor league ball. And then you get up to high A, it's probably your second or third season of full ball, as stateside at least, or out of college. And it's a big year for a lot of guys.
Oh, no doubt about it. It's a critical year. We talked about that in the past, that you don't often see a lot of times, just taking the example of a high round or really any college guy, is they might play their rookie year after they get drafted in the rookie ball. And then their first full season, they might skip that low A and go right to high A. You don't have a ton of guys that skip high A. They're at least usually in there for a month or so, maybe to get their feet wet, whatever the case may be, and then move up to double A. So yeah, it's obviously a huge stop on the way to the big leagues.
And before we move on, a quick note on the rest of the staff: Jason Erickson, Chris Brione is back.
We love them.
Those two guys, seeing it firsthand every day, the work that they put in with the guys on last year's roster, I'm glad they're back. They're
Our defensive work behind the plate did nothing but get better as the year went on with all of those guys individually, and that's a huge credit to Brio. And
who worked with a first-year guy in Bennett Hostetler.
Exactly. Really, and kind of transformed him into a guy that was, by the end of the year, pretty good behind the plate.
Yeah.
Which is hard to believe, coming from a guy that hadn't done it.
Drafted as a shortstop.
Exactly. Very different position. And then you had Jason Erickson, who, presided over one of the best pitching staffs in the entire Midwest League. So
yeah, and I know players, big fans of both those guys. So
absolutely.
Excited to see the coaching staff coming up here in a few weeks. But they're busy at work now. Spring training is open. And it's a huge Twitter season, right? Spring training opens.
Great.
You get all the videos online of guys like Yuri Perez facing Luis Ariz. That's something that we saw earlier today. You get those fun little matchups, and I think that's kind of the best part of the opening few days of spring training, right? And it's also like pictures of Yuri Perez watching Sandy Alcantara throw bullpens, and then you're like, oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. In a lot of the stuff with Yuri Perez, who of course was a snapper back in 2021.
Oh snap!
Oh snap, indeed. And it seems like the Marlins, I am certain intentionally, have done a lot of pairing him up with Sandy, and it makes a lot of sense because those two are going to be rotation mates sooner rather than later. Maybe not this year. But maybe this year.
Look, I've read a lot, being that we're close to the season, on the Marlins prospect lists and Perez's consensus number one.
Yeah.
It seems like it's not out of the question, at least according to, those writers, that maybe he gets a September call-up.
Yeah, I think that's very fair, and certainly going to. He has no reason to start the year in AA, right?
He kind of did everything he needed to do.
Exactly. So he'll start in AAA. So there are other factors, of course, which our baseball fans are very in tune with in terms of starting arbitration clocks and stuff like that sometimes keep guys that might otherwise be ready from the big leagues. But Eury, I would certainly expect to get a call at some point this year, and then all expectations would be health, barring injury, to start out the 2024 season in the rotation.
Yes. Yeah. I remember before last season, it was very funny. I was thinking, maybe we're going to get Eury Perez for like a month. Yeah, and the Beloit cold, the number one prospect in the whole organization in Beloit in April.
Didn't happen.
No.
Didn't happen.
Good one, though, wishful thinking.
Absolutely. But we are going to have, make no mistake, we are going to have a prospect-laden roster in 2023. I think we're all very excited about, of course, not only do we not know what the roster is going to be, the Marlins brass doesn't either, because there's so much that could happen in the next 6 weeks in terms of, well, you hate to say injury, but there's usually a few guys that get nicked up. And then just performance-wise and evaluation and, hey, you know what, boy, this person's really taken a leap. Or just even from last year, what did they do in winter ball? So there's so much to be decided, but we do know there are some spots where whether they send us player A or player B, we're going to be really excited about either one because there's a lot of talent in the system that's right around our level.
Definitely is. And it kind of goes back to Eury Perez, right? Talking with some of the Marlins player development staff throughout the year about Eury Perez, it sounded like it wasn't a consensus thing that, he's going to start next year in AA. Mm-hmm. But he came out in spring training and impressed against big league guys. And as a result, got that call up to AA. So, don't get it twisted. These are important days, even opening spring training. If you come out and impress, especially on the pitching side, that could do you a lot of good.
No doubt.
So, hey, another guy who seems to be having a nice start to spring training, Victor Mesa Jr.
Yes.
Homered in the first spring training game that they had, first scrimmage.
The inter-squad game, yeah, and we all know certainly the tools and the potential that VMJ has. And, one of the first questions we got in our Sky Carp Fest was, is Victor Mesa Jr. coming back? And, there's a reason for that. He's one of our favorites, but one of the fan favorites too. And he could be, just one of those. I'm not necessarily saying face of the franchise, but I'm going to draw a cross sport comparison here between a guy by the name of Jamal Williams, who's a running back, used to be for the Packers, now for the Lions, and isn't a guy that's ever going to be an all-pro, but is so embraced by fans and provides great social media content. And that could be Victor, too, because he's so engaging with people. And, we wish nothing but the best for him. And the tools are there. And I expect a big year from Victor. And that probably doesn't start with here in Beloit here in 6 weeks.
I think he might be a little frustrated if he started the year in the cold.
Yep.
I think kind of everybody would be.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of FanFest, you made a trip down to Marlins FanFest. How'd that go?
Let me tell you, we had no idea what to expect, and there's a good reason for that. Not only had we never attended that as a staff, it had never happened before. This was one of the initiatives that they came up with for this year, that the Marlins were going to put together this FanFest, and boy, did they do a fantastic job. I have no idea. I have no idea what kind of numbers they had as far as fans go, but there was a steady stream of people. And they utilized just about every piece of that ballpark, which, by the way, it doesn't always necessarily come through on TV because it's not always necessarily a full house there, as we know. Unbelievable park. Beautiful. And the kind of the coup de grace was they had the roof open, which, from what I was told by locals down there, doesn't happen a lot during the regular season for one reason or another, whether it be heat or obviously precipitation, which they get a lot of down there. So beautiful ballpark. They had the players. I think just about every guy, it seemed like, on the 40-man roster, and a few, like Victor, who aren't, he was there too.
Dax.
Dax was there. Dax Fulton got a huge spotlight, as did likely potential future Sky Carp Jacob Berry, when they were kind of singled out and as one of 4 prospects that were on this panel that was broadcast to the entire stadium. Very cool stuff. So Dax is really getting a lot of love early in spring.
Well deserved.
But it was great. And even if I saw through maybe some different eyes the festival, as I had other duties as assigned. Sometimes life of a PR manager takes a little bit of a different and much sweatier turn. It was still that is a direct reference. Well, we don't want to ruin any Santa Claus type dreams of the kids out there, but if you know, you know.
What do you mean?
It was a great time. It was a great time. We'll just leave it at that. It was a great time.
Many people came and one goose.
Yes, Poopsie was there. Poopsie was a huge hit. I mean, literally hundreds of people got their picture with Poopsie because the people of South Florida now, we're a new affiliate. Poopsie's obviously brand new. Nobody really, a lot of people, what is going on here? And then, man, the name, the jersey, just the whole ensemble, people really fell for. So it was great to spread the gospel of Poopsie down in South Florida.
That's one way to put it. Poopsie won't be migrating anytime soon. I think.
No, this is
hashtag here to stay.
Quick visit. Visit.
I woke up to the sound of honking geese the other day.
Okay, it's a good sign.
Hey, that's how you know. Sky Carp, literally here to stay.
Yes.
That's the reason. That's the hashtag. Last quick newsworthy note before we get moving into our final segment of the day. No interview. Spring training, kind of busy.
Yeah, it's tough. These guys are busy now.
Some guys are occupied.
Yes.
Throwing baseballs and such. But MLB rule changes.
Yeah.
That is a topic of much discussion now because the rules that we saw in the minor leagues this past year are now moving to the big leagues this year, and that's the pitch timer. That's bigger bases. That's the pickoff rule. You can only throw over twice without getting the guy. And some new position player pitching stuff that we actually didn't see in the minor leagues. Mm-hmm. I just want to get your take on your opinions of what we saw last year. Good or bad? Thumbs up, thumbs down on the new rules, especially the pitch clock.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go thumbs up. And obviously the main part of that and the biggest change that the big leagues will see is that pitch clock, because one of the big things you'll see, and you find it, especially when you're at games. I experienced this a lot. I went to, 5 or 6 Brewer games last year, interspersed with our home schedule, and the difference is just striking. Obviously, you're going to have the longer breaks between innings to fit in commercials and whatnot at the big league level, but the in-between pitches, the difference was unbelievable. I mean, our average game time, and that was due to the fact also that we had a terrific pitching staff and a hitting that was a little up and down, right? So our team profiled as to one that would play quicker games, but when you're playing 2.5-hour games, it's just a whole different level. And so the pitch count, I think, was a major factor in that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of impact that has on the big leagues. Even if it can shave 10 or 15 minutes off an average game time, that's huge.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is the pitch clock worked, right?
Yeah.
It did its job. It shaved the average game time by 30 minutes, they said? 30-ish minutes. And you could tell a difference.
Yep.
I mean, when a game went 2 hours and 50 minutes or that 3-hour mark, oh, my God, you notice. And that's something that you really couldn't say before.
Did the pitchers like it? No, indeed, they did not. But they got used to it because they were forced to, and I think, they made those adjustments as the year went on.
I mean, it's also a hitter's clock a little bit too. They have to be in the box by a certain point. And I think that's kind of where it drew the most controversy online, right, was these clips would go viral of a batter with 2 strikes in the 7th inning with runners in scoring position, stepping into the box a little bit late, and he gets called out. I can honestly say I only saw a batter get called out due to this rule, I think 3 times. 2 of them was the same guy in the same month. So, I mean, it just didn't happen a lot.
It didn't. And towards the end of the year, we weren't even having any sort of violations on the pitcher either.
No.
At the beginning of the year, you saw some. But here in the last month of at least our home games, maybe 1 or 2, it was very minimal that those guys would get a violation.
Which rule or which part of the new package are you most skeptical on?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm just not sure how much of an impact the bigger base is going to have. I know they want to encourage the running game, and you do see a lot of bang plays at second base, but that one, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to change entire, managerial philosophies heading into a game. It's like, well, we wouldn't have stolen, but now we've got this base that's a tiny bit bigger. Let's try it. I just don't see that.
The base path is 3 inches shorter.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like that's going to have a significant impact.
Well, I mean, you look at the numbers, and it did,
Yeah.
right? I mean, stolen bases were up, and I think that all in all is a good thing.
Oh,
I
I
was
think so,
listening
too.
to another great podcast, Cespedes Family Barbecue.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm aware. Yep.
The Barbiecast, and they were talking about it and had some guests on talking about this, and they made a great point. I think it was Jake Eisenberg, new Royals broadcaster. He said it's not something that you're going to notice day in and day out, but when you look at the stats at the end of the season, you will notice a difference. And I think ultimately that's a good thing, right? The action turns up just a little bit, but you don't notice it where it's like a dramatic shift.
I think that's the whole point of everything that they're doing is to try to get away from these 3-hour, 25-minute games that feature 24 combined strikeouts, 6 home runs, and 4 other hits.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a genuinely less exciting product to watch than it was because there's less action happening in the game. And the more they can promote activity, whether it be on the base paths or, with the shift, just getting more singles and doubles in there, I think the better it's going to be for the game.
I think the one that I'm most skeptical on is the pickoff rule. As the year went on, I think it became really apparent that I think pitchers need one more pickoff throw.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of times where guys will step off, throw to first, not even throw a pitch, step off and throw over to first again. And then that's 2 pickoff throws before you've even thrown a pitch.
Yeah.
You have no real ability to hold on the runner, right? And I think also that comes down to strategy. That's largely a pitcher's fault if you throw it back-to-back. But say you've got a guy like Nasim Nunez on first base. He's going to occupy a lot of your mind.
Yep.
And so much of controlling the game comes down to holding on runners, and it's not an exciting part of the game, but it's an important one, especially at the big league level when guys' talent level is that much higher. So I think pitchers need one more pickoff throw because realistically, I don't think we're going to see that many times where a guy is going to throw over more than 3 times in that bat.
I agree. It's just those specific guys that are going to draw that attention.
Indeed. We interrupt this edition of Flock Talk to bring you a new segment. We're calling it Merch Madness, right? The last one, I don't know what it was called, but merch. This time, one very special goose is paying us a visit. It's Poopsie. Maybe you missed Valentine's Day and forgot to give your special someone a gift. Maybe they like stuffed animals. Maybe you're looking for a March birthday present for a youngster in your life. Plush Poopsie. We've got a lot of them downstairs. Maybe you don't want a goose. Maybe you want some other sort of stuffed animal like a tiger or some other sort of big cat with SkyCarp merch. We've got that too. Beak Boutique, team store. You can visit it online right now. Go to skycarp.com, follow the links, and who knows? You might see something special. And what do you know? We got a little treat for you just for tuning into this episode. Use the promo code FLOCK. For 20% off.
20%.
20% off anything and everything in the store, including
that Poopsie.
Goose.
Now, the special thing about that Poopsie is it is not mass produced. These were hand individually sewn, and
jersey.
And very personalized, customized. It's a great replication of our beloved mascot. So stop in or shop online, even better. And order one up.
Use that promo code FLOCK for 20% off. Back to the episode. So one more segment for us today on Flock Talk. Top of the order at our bottom of the order. And spring training is upon us. And that means spring break is mere weeks away. Our spring break trip to Jupiter, Florida, if we can call it that, is impending on March
22nd.
You're counting down the days, I'm sure.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to head down to Marlin spring training, see a lot of fun stuff. What about some other destinations? Spring break destinations is our top of the order topic today. Pick your top 3 spring break destinations. Looks like we're going to flip an eraser today to decide who gets to go first. Mitchie does the honors.
You got to call it, Larry. You forgot to call it. It's a key part of the coin flip.
We'll
let's
rewind
redo.
that. Okay.
Call it in the air, Larry.
Heads.
Expo is heads.
Back-to-back heads.
All
What are the
right.
chances of that? Tails has failed. For my first one, I'm going to go with Jupiter, Florida. A lot to see there this time of year, so I'm so excited. In fact, I'm going myself.
Yeah. Yeah, for 4 days. If you want to meet Larry and I down there, March 22nd through the 25th, you can look us up. We don't have any hotels booked. We're flying an airline that doesn't even allow any bags, so this is going to be a ragtag operation. We're basically just going down there. I'm going to have a spare set of underwear in my back pocket, my cell phone, and that's it. And we're gonna have a great time.
Make some content.
Yeah, content, big time content. So just be keeping an eye out here. You've got 5 weeks to prepare your trip, your own itinerary.
Feel free to send us some ideas. What do you want to see from spring training?
Yes.
Shoot us a Twitter message. Beloit Sky Carp.
You can comment on our YouTube video. That'd be great too.
That's a good one. At MLB Larry,
We're
at
here for the
JFlick,
fans.
whatever, 21.
1215.
Close.
And yeah, we're here for the fans. So whatever you guys want. And I do think for my selection, you kind of took it, but I just think that fans that haven't been to a spring training, and I didn't go to a spring training until, I was 20 years old, 21 years old actually.
Got me beat.
Yeah. So you've never been?
I went when I was 22. I went last year.
Oh, there you go. So spring training just gives you, and it was, I hate to say this, but back in my day, it was even more so. But still, you just get access to the players if that's your thing, autographs if that's your thing, just up close and personal, great seats for cheap prices kind of thing. It's just a whole different vibe.
So you're gonna pick a specific destination, or?
Yeah, Maryvale, Arizona, to see my Milwaukee Brewers is where I would pick. I have not done the Florida spring training experience. I've done Arizona a couple times.
Same.
So this will be new. The beautiful thing about Arizona, which I know is different than Florida, is that Arizona, the complexes besides Tucson, are really compact. So if you're down there to see a particular team, even if that team is on the road that day, it's likely they're within a half-hour drive. So that is really nice. But Florida, a little more spread out.
Is there even anybody in Tucson?
Yeah, the White Sox used to be there. Maybe they all moved. Everything.
No, they are. They're in Scottsdale.
Oh yeah, so maybe there's not
Ranch
anybody.
With the Dodgers.
Maybe there's not anybody in Tucson anymore. So maybe it's all concentrated there. But obviously, great for their tourism, and I know it brings a ton of fans every year.
Yeah, I used to, when I was a kid, I used to know where every single major league team was.
Yeah.
Not anymore. That's been erased from my brain. But anyways. Colorado
Rockies, Chicago White Sox.
Well,
Arizona Diamondbacks.
Colorado Rockies are now a Talking Stick, which is not in Tucson, with the Diamondbacks. That's a new facility, Salt River Fields.
And so it's multi-team facility?
Yeah. So, I mean...
Interesting.
I think they used to be there, and you make a great point about the White Sox. They used to be there, too. So, I don't know. It's different.
Yeah.
I think my second pick, I'm going to go with a skiing destination. How about just Colorado? Everybody thinks spring training or spring break, I want to get warm. Hit the slopes. Celebrate the end of winter. Well, I know that's a sensitive topic for you. So
I broke my leg when I was 8 years old on the slopes and haven't been back since. So tough one for me. And I am just against that mindset in general, Larry. I do believe that because here's the harsh reality, and maybe in the time that we're going because it's late March. But if you're planning, if you've got a regular spring break, which may be like March 8th through the 14th, just pick some dates. The bottom line is when you return home to where we are in Beloit, where I grew up in Rockford, you've got about another 6 weeks where it's still going to be cold.
Well, what's your definition of cold?
Yeah, I get you. I mean, sub 50. You
Yeah.
know, like where it's not really going to be warm. It really isn't warm here.
I mean, it was
until
38 on opening day last
until
year.
mid-May. Until mid-May, it's really not warm.
No.
That's just the reality. We who live here know that. So that having that week in the warmer climate is huge, and that is why, you know, I would just choose if you're maybe Gulf Shores, Alabama. How about that?
I like
a
that.
place like that you can, you know, maybe a little non-traditional. See, I would not. Of course, I'm old.
There's another place like kind of close to there that you may have heard of, but I think it's pronounced like
Pensacola?
Pensacola.
Pensacola,
Pina colada.
of course. Yes, yeah, a place like that maybe isn't. I am not going to go to a classic. I'm not going to South Beach for spring break. I am way too old for that. Way too old for that.
You fit that demographic.
I don't, actually. I do not. I specifically do not. I'm double the age of that demographic. So I'm staying away from there, but a nice place where you can warm up a little bit, get some beach time where it's still away from the crazy. Yeah, Floribama. There you
Sitting
go.
down here on the Floribama.
Okay.
You know that song?
No, I don't.
You should look it up.
Sounds terrible.
Be open to new things.
Okay. Stick with my Springsteen. Don't worry about it. Get off my lawn.
Last pick, I'm going to steal your inevitable last one. Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh.
March Madness season.
Oh.
Coincides with spring break. Boys trip out to the gambling capital of the world. If you're into that thing, I'm not. Some of us might be. But, I mean, even if you don't do that, you go to the world's largest sports book and there's like a pool and it's like 18 TVs. So, I mean, I don't think there's anywhere better to watch March Madness than Vegas.
I'm going to counter with great pick.
Thanks.
I'm going to counter with this only works, and this is just, I'm just such a, you know, just a single-minded individual because this is another sports one. But what about, Larry, if you're a big fan of a team that, say, is a top 4 seed, what about following that team to your various regional site? I've done that several times. That's a fun time because a lot of times, especially where we are, you're going to have inevitably better weather. Yeah. The only place you're going north is maybe Minneapolis, you know,
Albany, New York.
Albany, New York, yeah.
Home
but a
of
lot
the
of times
East
it'll
Regional.
just be a little Louisville
I've looked it
action. I've done that. KC is a great regional host this year.
T-Mobile Arena, right? Nice.
For the Sweet 16 will be Kansas City, but that's a great time. You mingle with other fans. You got your little own pep rallies. I don't know if you've ever done that, for a team and been around that. Have you ever been to a tournament game?
No.
Okay.
Look, sensitive subject. So
he's a Bradley guy. So
well,
that
no,
explains a lot.
hold on. So there's a story behind this. It's tough because I was on vacation. Actually, come to think of it, I went to spring training when I was 19 with a buddy out in Arizona, and that was also my freshman year at Bradley. When Bradley made the tournament, and they took eventual Final Four qualifier Michigan State down to the wire.
They did.
I was watching in Arizona on a television outside, wearing the same exact thing I wore at Arch Madness in St. Louis. So it was jeans, a sweatshirt, and a jersey over a sweatshirt.
Wow.
Superstitious.
That's a look.
So I was excited. It didn't come to be. I was planning on going to the tournament in 2020. That didn't happen. Bradley still would have won a game. I'm going to say that. They would have made it back to the Sweet 16.
For sure.
Definitely. This year, I don't want to jinx anything.
They're there. They're right there.
I mean, they're going to play Drake. And if you're into mid-major basketball, we're getting out of our realm here.
You're not.
I think Drake could probably give Iowa State a run. So,
okay, well,
Tucker DeVries.
Still a
I've heard of
projected
him.
3 seed, but whatever.
But yeah, Bradley Drake, ESPN 2 on Sunday. I'm going to be there. It'll be fun.
Okay.
In Peoria.
Well, look forward to that mid-major action.
I will.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate the sarcasm.
No, it's
Take
good.
it seriously.
It's good.
Unbelievable.
The world needs ditch diggers too.
Ouch. Ouch. All right. Well, we'll see who's laughing when Bradley wins in Albany over Iowa State.
It could happen.
It could happen because I mean, Iowa State's right on that 4-5 line, right? Bradley's like that 13-12 range.
Could be a 5-12.
Oh man,
We would never.
I'm
be
going to make you
friends.
jump in the Rock River.
I would make that bet with you. I would make that bet.
No, man, that sounds worse than it actually is. We should end this.
And speaking of bets, real quick, I want to give props to our bearded Philadelphian, Jared Takix, who lost a heartbreaker in the Super Bowl, just like he lost a heartbreaker in the World Series. At least that one didn't go 7 games. It went 6, right, the World Series?
Yeah.
So he lost his bet to our producer, Matt Mitchie, and did his best and fully succeeded in a full submersion into the Rock River last week. If you haven't seen it, look it up on our Facebook page, Facebook Live. A great event, pre and post dive interviews. It was quite a thing, and Jared, props to you, and maybe not have so much faith in a team from Philadelphia next time.
It's been a rough year for the Philadelphians, but not Matt Mitchie. He's on top of the world right now.
Kansas and the Chiefs. Same year. Unbelievable. Well, different years, but you understand what I'm saying.
Well, it seemed like sports year. Yeah.
It wasn't even the same sports year, though, because that concluded, right?
Yeah, technicalities, all right.
Well, we can say within a calendar year. Yeah, within a calendar, in 10 months. 10 months, he got 2 titles. Unbelievable.
Can't ever say that I've done that.
No.
You definitely haven't.
Definitely not.
See you, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
We'll save that for next time. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Flock Talk. Be sure to subscribe either on YouTube or on Spotify, and we'll talk to you next time.